The cool thing about living in 2023 is that we know when a heat wave is coming, like days beforehand. The bad thing about living in 2023 is that heat waves are coming. So how do we prepare? Here are some tips about how to prepare for when a heat wave is coming. One thing that we constantly need to worry about is electricity. There are certain companies that will, unfortunately, cut off the electricity if it gets too hot. Not naming names, just putting it out there. When that happens, what do we do? When this electricity goes off, then we're kind of having to think about all the things we have in the fridge that is gonna melt, that we aren't gonna be able to use, all this money that is going down the drain. Keep ice in the freezer. Always have as much ice as you possibly can have in the freezer. If the electricity does go off, take the ice out of the freezer and use it as quickly as possible. If you have a cooler, put the ice in the cooler. Different coolers will last different levels of time when it comes to ice, so be sure to know how long your cooler can last with ice. 24 hours is preferable. Otherwise, just keep it in the freezer. If you do end up putting ice in the cooler, be sure to put other things in there like ice cream, water, anything to keep you cool, and try to keep it in a cool place as well. If you got it like that and you got air conditioning, be sure to put your air conditioning up to 72 to 78 degrees. It's good not to use as much power because everybody's going to be using their air conditioning at this time. But also, you need to stay cool, so find a good balance that works for you. Be sure to wear loose, lightweight clothes. If you gotta wear the muumuu, just wear the muumuu. And also, make sure that you're wearing a lot of light colors. This ain't gonna work. Try to wear lighter colors when it's hot because darker colors are going to basically hold on to all the heat. And you don't want all that heat on your body, especially not on your head. Cook before it gets hot. If you know that this heat wave is gonna hit and you also know you don't got no food in the fridge or no food period, be sure to cook when it's not hot outside. The reason for that is because your oven is going to generate heat. Your stove is going to generate heat. You don't want no heat in your house. Keep the heat out. Be sure to have ready water. If you have a water purifier in your fridge, be sure to keep that filled all the time when it's hot outside. If you use a cooler, be sure to have that stacked with as much water as possible. And be sure to put some ice in there if you can. Whew. I'm getting hot out here. Jeez. Be sure to have water, ice cream, popsicles, whatever, ready at all times. I know it is a possibility for the electricity to be cut off and all the food in your fridge to perish. However, it's also a possibility that it won't happen. And if it doesn't, just make sure that you have the ability to get that ice cream when you can. Also, if you do end up moving everything to a cooler, just put the ice cream in there as well. When you lose power, the things in your fridge are going to get warm quicker, but the things in your freezer are going to stay cool for much longer. So think about that if you have ice cream or popsicles. If you're interested in sports or you have loved ones that are interested in sports, be sure to plan these sporting events for after the heat wave. So if you be playing basketball with your homies, don't be doing it at 12 p.m. or at 3 p.m. when the heat wave is hitting. Maybe try like 8 p.m., 9 p.m. Just be sure to be mindful of how you plan for your sporting events because you do not want to be playing basketball in the middle of a heat wave. Please don't be doing that. I beg. When you're planning, find out what is the closest pool, river, or ocean nearby to you. I love living nearby an ocean because the ocean is almost always cool, even if it's a heat wave outside, and just dunking your feet and something cool can help cool your whole body down. So figure out what's the closest to you. A creek could even be enough to keep you cool. So just know what's nearby and know how to get there. Bonus points if it's free. Open your windows and doors at night. If you know the heat wave is tomorrow night, keep them windows open unless it's like 90 degrees outside. Relatively speaking, at night, it's going to be cooler. So open the windows, open the doors, get that cool air in, and shut it when that sun comes out. I'm begging you. Keep those blinds and those windows closed and stay in the shade. I beg. Speaking of the shade, if you got an umbrella, take that out. If you gotta walk somewhere, take an umbrella. I don't care if it's not raining. Take that umbrella because that sun in your eyes, if you've been there for a while and the sun keeps staying in your eyes, you're gonna get a headache and you might even get a heat stroke. If you have pets, make sure to walk your animals before it gets hot. So that means in the morning, that means in the evening, that means not when the heat wave is striking. And also, pay attention to their little paws if you got dogs and you're walking them outside. Sometimes I see people walking cats. Whatever you got, make sure you pay attention to their paws. I say this because the concrete is very hot in a heat wave, so you don't want to burn your little buddy's feet. Some people put mitts on their dog's feet. I don't know if your dog would like that, but I do recommend just walking when it's not super hot and touching the sidewalk and see if it's safe for a dog to even walk off. Their feet are a little bit tougher than yours. If you cannot even touch it for longer than 5 seconds, don't make little buddy do it. Don't make him do it. Before the heat wave hits, make sure you have an area for not just you, but for your animals to go to. This goes for those of you with outdoor pets and people who don't have air conditioning. If you have an outdoor pet, let them inside. If you don't have air conditioning, make a cool spot for your animal to go to. Now that I've talked about those of you with pet babies, let's talk about those of you with plant babies. Water your plants before or after the heat wave strike. If you do it before, keep in mind that a lot of your water may evaporate. So it's probably best to do it afterwards. If the sun is out and you're watering your plants, you're wasting so much water. A lot of us are in a drought, so please. Here's a fun idea for those of you with kids. Buy some water guns and fill them up with water and put them in the fridge. If your fridge is still working, or even if they first cut off the electricity, make sure that you take those water guns out. They're gonna be nice and cool. Go outside and go crazy. Just go crazy, because it's hot already. If you don't get sprayed with some cold water and help yourself out, just do it. Have some fun. And better yet, do as much as you can with water. I know we're in a drought and we're trying to save water, and a heat wave definitely doesn't help, but we gotta stay cool out here. If you have a hose in your yard, make sure that prior to when the heat wave starts, you put that in the shade. Hoses have those little metal things on them. Well, when they're hot, you don't want to touch that. Please don't touch that. On top of that, heat waves will also make the water in your hose hot, especially if it's just out in the sun. So keep it in the shade, and if you have to use water from the hose, it'll be cool. So try it out. Lastly, use some hand fans. Trust and believe you will not look stupid with them because it can be hot. Just have the idea in your head that if you do it kind of slow, like this. Oh wait, hold on. I got a hand fan. Give me a sec. I got my fan. Keep in mind, if you do have a fan and you're using out here, sometimes you could be actually making the hot air that's out there go onto your face, which will inevitably make you hotter. So be cautious of how you're using the fan. If there's cold air around you, or if you're just outside, you might be doing more harm than good. But it do feel good, I'm not gonna lie. Last but not least, check on your people. Make sure they got a plan for whenever this heat wave strikes. And if they don't, send them this video. Stay safe out there, family.